Hi everyone. So I would like to introduce myself. So I'm Hany, and actually this is my first time ever doing things like this. So friend ko lang yun encourage sa akin and I just said yes. So why not, diba? Anyways, I have two poems, three. So I'll start with A Candle in a Sealed Room. They always said she was beautiful, the kind that feels like a light in a dim room, the kind you assume is safe, cherished, untouched by anything cruel. With a smile that softened edges and a warmth people lean into, never noticing how she carried herself like a house with its windows open. Even when something unseen had already begun closing the doors from the inside. Because after years and years of bruising, of shouting, of feeling so little behind closed doors, of the darkness that the night in shining armor had entrapped her, after the wrecks in the room, after the slashes in her delicate arms, after years of bringing painfully ill words, she learned what it meant to survive. While the world looked on, applauding the grace she still managed to carry. But what she found instead was something that lingered too long in anger, something that spoke in raised voices and sharper silences, something that made her smaller each time it said her name. And still, she stayed, because it wasn't always that bad, because sometimes it was almost kind, because she kept waiting for it to become what it once pretended it to be, because she was taught that love, if it's real, endures. So she endured. Through the nights that stretched too thin, through words that didn't just hurt but stayed, echoing, repeating, settling into her bones like truth. Through the quiet aftermath where even breathing felt like something she had to earn. She learned how to smile without feeling it, learned how to speak without saying anything real, learned how to disappear while still being seen. And somewhere between the breaking and the waiting, she became like a candle in a sealed room, still burning, still giving light, not realizing the air was running out, not realizing that what she called devotion was slowly turning into absence. Until one day, the flame did not go all out at once, but dim so quietly it almost looked like she was still there. My second piece, Kryptonites of Catastrophes. Kryptonite resting in my hands, as if I chose to carry the very thing that weakens me. I turn it over, study its edges, trace the quiet glow of something dangerous, familiar. Love has always felt like this, beautiful, inevitable, and never entirely safe. Still, I hold it, as if letting go were never an option. Raining through me, soft, unrelenting, it seeps into the hollow spaces I try to guard. Not a storm I can outrun, but a slow, steady falling that soaks through memory, through skin, through bone. I have stood in this downpour before, waiting for it to stop, but it never really does. So I wait differently now, not for the rain to end, but for someone who will stand in it with me. Yearning in ways I cannot unlearn, as if my heart was built only to reach, to stretch toward something just beyond its grasp. Even after loss, after leaving, after breaking, it remembers how to hope, how to want, how to believe there is still something worth waiting for. And so I remain in the quiet space between almost and someday, holding on to a future I cannot yet see. Loving still, though knowing I know the cost. I know how it empties me, how it asks for everything without promise of return. And yet, I would choose it again, not because it is easy, but because it is the only thing that has ever made me feel like the waiting meant something. Love has always been my kryptonite, not a flaw, not a failure, but the quiet ruin I return to. Because I know how this ends. In absence, in silence, in the hands that once held mine, learning how to let go. And still, I will wait at the doorway, long after the knocking stops, long after the world has gone quiet. Not just for anyone, not for something fleeting, but for the kind of love that either stays or destroys me trying.